Hello everyone. So I thought I'd do a video with you today, or tonight. I wanted to go live, but TikTok wanted me to do age verification, so I've got to wait 24 hours for that, so I'm going to do a video with you for now. Just going to explain a little bit about what's going on in my head, and maybe it might relate to some of you guys, what's going on in your head. Now, if you're a 90s kid like me, or 80s kid, 90s kid, you remember the films around our sort of time were pretty close to the truth about what's going on now. I mean, I've heard a lot about Demolition Man, a lot about the Sanitized Society, things like that. So I just want to talk a little bit about all that sort of stuff, and talk about you guys some other things. And what I've done is I've got some notes here. I actually I merged 3 films that I thought were very important into one script, and based that script on the reality that we are living right now. So if you guys want to strap in for this one, you can comment and you can share this, and it might help wake people up, because I think films tell a vision. They're trying to tell us something, and they've told us for years that things are about, like the digital takeover was going to happen, and the constant threat of apocalypse and Armageddon, stuff like that. So I wanted to go to a mix of 3 films that I thought were the perfect merger. The first one, is Highlander 2. Now, there's a Renegade version that was done shortly after, which was a version that was closer to the writer's original vision. This version was closer to the climate control narrative he wanted to push, opposed to the aliens from other planets coming down narrative. So it was more of a realistic take that he wanted to push. His original vision wasn't about aliens from other planets in Highlander. In Highlander 2, hear me out on this. So this is where I'm going to start going into it now, what I think is going to be the layout on what has already happened, what is happening, and I want you guys to comment to tell me what you think as well. So we've got the ozone layer crisis. The ozone layer is destroyed by corporate greed. Global radiation levels rise. The Shield Corporation, in response to this, offer an artificial electromagnetic shield over the Earth as protection. The sky is then transformed into a permanently dark static field ceiling. So now, if you want to bear with me on this, because that relates to the geoengineering that's going on in the skies at the moment. So then we have scientists discover the ozone layer has healed itself, but the Shield Corporation is keeping the shield active to control resources. Now, does that sound quite familiar to you? The takeover of burning up land and stealing the resources and making things scarce, like shutting the Strait of Hormuz and cutting oil access off to people, energy, things like that, food. So that's part 2. Extended part 2, part 2.0 I'm going to call it. San Angeles, formerly Los Angeles, the Demolition Man crossover. Due to all these resource restrictions and things like that, the franchise wars begin, because then all the corporations start fighting over who's going to control the majority of the resources, which leads to societal panic. Large corporations take over, standardizing life. All restaurants become Taco Bell. Okay, I mean, to that effect, you know. Maybe it might be Taco Bell, but you know, it kind of looks that way at the moment because Taco Bell are bloody everywhere. Okay, so part 0.3, I'm going to call this the suppression. People are forced into strict politeness. Sex is virtual. Meat is banned. And freedom is non-existent. The scraps, the rebels, live in the underground, led by who in Demolition Man would be Edgar Friendly, but in our case would be led by someone, you know, anybody like a John Connor. Then we have what I am merging now into the Mad Max Fury Road crossover, because I think that is vital to this. Mad Max Fury Road, if you've ever watched that film, and I'm recommending to watch all these films as well. You can find the Renegade version of Highlander 2 if you look for it online. You can find Mad Max Fury Road pretty much anywhere. If you look for it, you could probably have to pay for it, but you know, you guys can get around that. Now, the crossover with this into the Demolition Man and the Highlander 2 world. After all this, okay, after all the scraps are led to the underground, the Wasteland Convergence, the catalyst, a war breaks out between the Scrappies and the elite. This destroys the main power source of the city. As a result, plunged into darkness, nothing can operate. In part 4, this brings the artificial skies crashing down after all power and transport is disrupted. The sudden blast destroys the utopian San Angeles in a massive firestorm, exposing it to the raw, harsh wasteland, merging it with the environment. The sanitized, over-regulated world of Demolition Man instantly collapses, reverting to the post-apocalyptic Mad Max wasteland. So basically what this is, right, okay, so what I'm trying to say, I'm not going to say the sky is going to fall and everything's going to burn and blah, 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 but the result of the geoengineering, the result of the power collapse, the grid collapse, overloading it with all this AI and stuff like that, the inevitable break in society where, you know, everyone's had enough and they go guns blazing for these bastards who've done this to us, basically the predatory class, the parasitic class. So that sanitized society they want would then break down. Most of the stuff, I think the technology even with this stuff that they're using to geoengineer the skies, you know, I think that could be a big knockback in their plans, because Mother Nature has different plans than they do, you know, and well, I know who wins in that situation. I hope Mother Nature, you know, is victorious. But anyway, back to this. Okay, so part 5, the Fury Road scenario, 2030s. Okay, post collapse, society is now ruled by warlords like Immortan Joe, who control water and fuel. So we'll have resource lords, basically, okay? And I want to bring up the fact that in this film, Fury Road, Mad Max, Tom Hardy, the group that are responsible for this are called Citadel. If you know anything about Citadel and their hedge fund, you know, billions and billions in hedge funds, these guys pretty much rule the roost, Citadel Group. And that's no accident, you know. So, to all this, part 6, the New Order. Former elite cops, now called War Boys, roam the desert in armed V8 vehicles. Scrappies find themselves in this new world, each Scrappy bringing their own unique set of skills, team up with scrappies elsewhere to hunt down the last of the oppressive corporate rulers. Conclusion. Having destroyed the shield, the scraps then disappear into the desert and the wasteland, standing victorious, having combined order, police, with freedom, wasteland survival, creating a new, gritty, imperfect world where people can finally eat real food again. Now, I know that seems crazy to you, but I wanted to talk about this stuff because you can use their tools, against them if you know how to. And the best thing to use against them is knowledge. Knowledge is the key. They don't want a population of thinkers, they want a population of workers, and so they keep you dosed out with God, religion, TV, news, sex, porn, all this stuff to take your mind off what they're actually doing to you. And that's spraying you like bugs, taking all your resources, taking all of our money, taking all of our happiness away from us, taking our sunlight, taking our skies. I just wanted to talk about that with you all because I thought that was quite interesting to break down a mixture of each film, to put them into a sort of a paradox, one by one, that they could merge into this ultimate reality that we're living in now, really. Because when you look at it, the reality that we are living in is, if you told someone who wasn't living in this, they would think it would be science fiction or a million miles away, in the year 3000 or something, but this is happening, and part of collapse in society is being strong, because it doesn't matter if a society collapses. What matters is the people within the society, and if those people within the society don't collapse themselves and are still standing strong like the pillars of the temple, that temple can't crumble, and every cornerstone of that temple is as strong as its highest pillar. And together we may be ants, but we are more in numbers than they are. And breaking this stuff down and really trying to educate yourself, I think, is the best release from this prison they're trying to put us into. I think Bob Marley said it best: emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. The digital takeover, we're not obviously walking into it like we did with COVID. They're not happy. Things are going wrong. They're pummeling our skies with chemicals. The CBDC's been rebranded how many times? Digital ID's been rebranded how many times? And it's all, PayPal now got a debit card. It just goes on and on and on. It's just rubbish. They've done it in the 90s, they've done it in the 80s, they've done it in the 70s, they've done it ever since I've been alive, and I've been alive since the 90s, and I've seen enough. It was 2001, the collapse of them towers was the collapse of the fucking, all of it, the whole thing. So what I wanted to do is to get that message out there to people that there really is a script going on here, and to try and break down your own version of that script. It might send you insane, but it might also give you a bit of clarity, a bit of freedom, that at least your enemy, because they always say it's better to know the devil, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So make sure you know that who you are fighting, you know who your enemy is, because it isn't us. We aren't the enemy, we are people. People that are the enemy are the people that have got the money to stop this but aren't. They're prolonging it and they're actually expanding it, the agony and the torture for us all. The people in Palestine have been the lab rats for this this new world order, you know, that they're trying to creep in, that they're trying to usher in every little other way that, you know, they can. Anyway, I'm sorry this went on a bit long, but I just wanted to know your thoughts. So let me know what you think. What do you think is going to happen? Is it all just fear-mongering? Because I know the skies are being tampered with at least. But what do you think? Let me know.